Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Carpa's Reality. Today, I wanted to cover something that was, I don't know, something that occurred to me this morning as I was watching a video. I subscribe to, really, my actual active subscriptions are maybe a handful. I really only subscribe to, some of them are just for fun, and some of them are more for insight. And one of my subscriptions is Gabriel Kundalini. Now he's a really good guy. I really enjoy him. He's true. That's what matters. It's not necessarily the content or what people believe that really gets my attention. It's the way that they go about it and how well they keep their minds open to be humble and say, hey, I just don't know for sure, but this might be possible. In other words, I've learned to feel people out, you know, and sounds wrong. It turns out Gabriel's actually from Eugene, Oregon, and he's coming back to Portland in a week or so, but hi Gabe if you're out there. Anyway, you mentioned something in a video today that really got me. I guess it was the first time that I've really heard anybody cover this issue, which is something that I've been facing over the last few years, which is moments of insanity. And I know he didn't really put it in that frame of reference or state it that way. It was more of, I think that the video was dealing more along like emotional breakdowns and when we kind of have a crisis, a mental crisis in our life. Sometimes it can be momentary. Sometimes it can be enduring. So I'm not sure if I'm on the exact same page as what he was describing, but it opened up a little bit of dialogue for me to kind of try to express the things that I've gone through. I've had these moments where, and this started relatively recently in the last few years, but has seemed to pick up steam over the last year or two. I have these moments where out of the blue, all of a sudden everything just seems overwhelming, as if it's almost like a panic attack, but I'm not panicking. It's like, wait a minute, I'm a human. What is this? What is all of this? You know? And I'm sure many of you have had that same type of, you know, revelation and feeling, but we have it over and over, but sometimes it's stronger. Now, the reason why I mentioned his video is he said something in there. He says to him, in his opinion, it's the subconscious coming forward into the conscious mind. And with that, there's a lot of confusion. Now, when a person takes psychedelics, let's say he eats mushrooms and has a very insightful experience, those psychedelics bring down the walls within your own mind that keep you separate from the whole of your existence, of your reality. You're able to see yourself as a child, yourself as an adult now, the people around you for who they really are, everything as it is. And I think that these little moments are kind of glimpses of that, where our brains are starting to, are trying to push our subconscious forward into the conscious mind so we can analyze and deal with everything. I'm trying to express it as the best I know how, because I think that only people who have had these moments and these experiences will know what I'm talking about. Some people may think that they're going insane. And my first major experience like this, I really did think, a thought came across my head, you know, I thought, this is how people must feel when they go insane. And I could see how a person could get pulled into that. What is insane though? You know, what is the normal state of being? You know, maybe many people who are insane are really just, you know, like they talk about, you know, people with multiple personalities and, you know, schizophrenics and whatnot, that maybe they are in touch with something we don't understand. And I don't get into the details or speculations on, you know, what these mental illnesses really entail, but when you catch a glimpse of it in your daily life, it really opens your eyes. And so I guess all I'm trying to convey here is to not be afraid of those moments, that they're building you up for something better, that your mind is trying to work through the kinks, and anybody who's trying to change their mindset or change their way of life after they've lived a certain way for a long time, it's going to be more and more difficult for that person. It's the same story as someone who is a very spiritual, meditative person may take psychedelics and not really gain that much from it. Whereas a person who's never even looked within themselves may take psychedelics and go absolutely nuts because everything comes to the surface at once. And my thought is that this is what a midlife crisis basically is. It's when people have tried to retreat from their own emotions and their own knowing of what's right and the right way to live. In other words, a person spends their youth learning to be something, and then they go into this job, and this is the standard of society, you know. Go into this job, and about 15, 20 years later, oh my God, what's after this, you know? I'm going to die one day. What do I really build? I can't take my money with me. My family will be gone. All these things, you know. Kids will leave and go have their own lives. And I think that the most important thing to remember is that we have to be working towards being better people. We have to work towards values and integrity. And no matter how much a person tries to justify their actions by saying, well, we need to just live our lives and get what we can and get out because we're going to die anyway, those people are never happy. Never happy. At least the way I view it, it seems like they're promoting a false happiness to themselves. Now, I could be wrong. People can convince themselves that all that matters in life is money or status. But when you abandon all those things and realize that none of it matters, you're left with just yourself. And if you haven't worked on yourself and you've gone too far in life without ever really thinking of who you are, then when you try to look, you might not want to see what you see. And this is also why I think that, well, this is why midlife crises happen. You know, the realization, not just that you're going to die, we know that, but that there's more to it. I wondered if I would have a midlife crisis, and I think in my early 30s I went through something similar to that, but it wasn't midlife, obviously. It was earlier, but I think that that's because I'd worked so much harder on myself over the years that I guess I don't want to say that I could grasp things sooner, but I have been able to comprehend the most important things in my life, whereas I've talked to people who are twice my age that say, I wish I would have discovered that when I was your age. And those are the things that keep me going, and knowing I'm on the right track is listening to my elders. And I have many elders will tell me, you know, what's important is family, integrity, life. I've never had any elder tell me, don't worry about it, all you need to do is make money. And, you know, it's just not the way people think when they get older, unless that's all they know. But all these realizations, you know, we'll go through these states of mind where we're like, one moment we want to take on a new career, and then a year later we decide we don't want to do that anymore. And then we start getting frustrated and confused because we don't know what we want or how to make an income because we have too many different interests. That's my situation. So, you know, I have been broke for about a year now, and you know, it matters not to me, only to my family. I want to support my family. So I guess my hope is that I can take the things that I do in my day-to-day life and, you know, make something out of it. I'd really like to be a public speaker and talk about these issues in life, because I think it's something that everybody can relate to, but I would never let my arrogance or ego override, you know, the information, because I just don't know. And I guess this is why I haven't written a book up until now, is because I thought I don't know enough about what's really true to write a book. And I guess that's why the book I wrote was based on not knowing what's true. We'll never know. And even if we do know, we'll never be able to convince everyone else to think the way we think. And if they did, how boring would that be? Seeing the differences are the integral part of society, then we can stop trying to mold other people to what we want them to be. And more importantly, we can stop trying to mold ourselves to what other people want us to be. Trying to impress your parents, you know, trying to impress your teachers, and then you move on and you're trying to impress your boss. You know, everybody wants to stand out. And it's not really a matter of standing out and being better, but it's a matter of society telling us that if we want to be recognized, that we have to do certain things. I've spent at least the last 5 to 10 years, maybe 5 years, I guess. There was a time still in my early 30s where I really thought, well, maybe I can have a career and, live the normal life. Now I know that if I want to live a happy, long, valued life, that I have to follow my heart. And my heart is in the right place, but my motivation for financial gain is not. So this is why I hoped, well, if I can take the things that I think about and put them into a book and get a book published or get a few books published. I'm never going to get rich off of books, and I don't want to. But just to know that I'm putting forth the effort. Even if I were to just get, make $5, it's putting forth my effort and knowing that I'm getting something back from it. And that's one of the hardest things, I think, for us to get past is your time is valuable. And I'm the kind of person who likes to give things away. I'm the guy who's like, oh, you owe me $20, don't worry about it. Oh, here, you want some free weed? I'm always trying to I like to see people happy, and I like them surprised. If somebody's doing even broker than I am, I'll, give them a few joints or a few bucks or, whatever I can do to help somebody out. But at the same time, I'm a little bit selfish with certain things. Like, I won't just give things away just blindly to people if they don't look like they're making an effort to do for themselves, if that makes sense. So it becomes an issue of wanting to help people, but having to protect the self as well. And I end up shorting myself because I've always given away my art. I make boxes and jewelry and beads and stuff, and I just give them away. And I always have. I've probably spent 10 times more on art supplies than I ever made selling art. And it was my view that that's okay. That's how life is, that we're here to give. And and I was living with the idea that, you get what you put in, which is true. It's karma in a sense, but at a point you have to say, I have to be compensated for my time. And then it becomes the issue of money. And it's like people are like, oh, you don't need money. Why worry about money? Because money is neutral. Money means nothing. Money is nothing more than a symbol for our efforts, okay? So when we think of money as the root of all evil, it's nonsense. The root of all evil is ignorance, but money is a neutral. And it could be used for good or bad. And I think we all know that. And the people who are poor point the fingers at the rich and say, look at you, you have more than you need. And the people who are rich often point at the poor and say, look at you, you could do more for yourself. And somewhere in the middle is the truth. That each one of us has the potential and capability to make as much money or as little money as we desire. But how many of you have actually said, this is where I want to be in 10 years? When have I said, this is where I want to be in 10 years? And it's only been recently, over the last few years, that I've actually set in my mind a picture of where I want to be when I'm an old man, and a picture of where I want to be 10 years from now. And it's not successful in the sense of having money. It's success in the sense of finding myself and the truth of life, the way I see it. And I've given up trying to defend my views against others, because it's the more in tune you become with your true self, the more you stop, the less you try to justify or explain yourself. And as well, I may seem like you have many of the people who claim to be very, in tune, have this almost spiritual, and I'm trying to be nice here about this, but this arrogance, this floaty attitude about how, oh, everything's love and everything's light and there's no evil and you just ignore the bad things. And all this is just a bunch of crap to me. I mean that as nicely as possible, but it's just a bunch of crap, because we have to analyze our emotions and deal with them and be true to ourselves and who we are. So when I'm just sitting here talking like the average guy, I may not seem like a very spiritual person, but in my mind, I have, this is my temple.